What if you were the living embodiment of all pervasive peace? What if all sentient beings all around you increase their vibration towards harmony by merely being in your contact? What if, through conscious reasoning, focused will, and intentional living, you reform yourself, thereby becoming a catalyst in sparking transformation in others? I'm Shilpa Lewis, meditation, mindset, and mindfulness coach for midlife mompreneurs, and you are listening to Omnipresent Awareness, the podcast that will inspire you to use your story to serve humanity in not just healing, but thriving as souls, each fulfilling their highest purpose. Welcome to Omnipresent Awareness with Shilpa. This is your host, Shilpa Lewis, owner and founder of Omni Mindfulness Coaching. Before we get started, if you haven't already booked a free discovery session with me, click on the link in the description. I'm a holistic transformational life coach, specializing in helping midlife mompreneurs bring balance, clarity, and life alignment both personally and professionally, so that you may live your best life. There is tremendous healing value in simply being able to know someone is holding authentic space for you to listen and be accessible as an accountability partner and mentor. If you feel overwhelmed, or if you feel the need for some support navigating life as a mother or as an entrepreneur, I would love to provide you with my coaching. If any anecdotes from the stories of the guests from this episode or any of the podcast episodes resonate with you, or if you find any value at all from the content from these episodes, then consider booking a free discovery call with me. Together, we can manifest my vision to be instrumental in the biggest rise in consciousness and awareness and human transformation. And now, here is today's episode. Up next, Tisha Gehringer. Tisha is the epitome of someone who intentionally lives to make positive changes for our earth and those around her. A resident of Carlsbad, California, Tisha currently works for the Carlsbad Village Association and has spent the majority of her career in the fitness industry. On her own time, she spearheads grassroots efforts to make a positive impact on our environment. Her mission is to help people see the most simple things they can do to make changes. Tisha was originally in college for law and changed the course after working in fitness during school and seeing the effect she could have in this part of people's lives. Over the years, she coached other women, and she noticed women who struggled to try to make changes in their life, and her empathy grew stronger. This experience, for her, translated into her learning that the smallest things can all add up, and she understood that it takes time and patience as well as effort to make meaningful changes. So, you just have to be in it for the long haul. It is from this experience that became the catalyst for her passion for making impactful changes on how we treat our environment, our animals, and other human beings in general. Tisha believes in micro changes for big impact. Her mantra is small action over time. If one person did one thing every day, imagine how that would add up. And now, Tisha.
Hello, Tisha. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, it's so good to be here.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Tell me a little bit about how you arrived at becoming more mindful about our environment, our shared environment, and its impact on our planet.
The more I thought about this, the more I think it stems back to my early start in the fitness and health industry right out of college. Well, first year of college, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I decided early I couldn't actually change anything in the world being a lawyer. So I went a different route. But I think working at a very young age in the fitness industry, I watched women specifically at that point trying to make changes in their life. And the empathy for change grew and grew and grew because you could see the struggle. So I think that translated into me learning that the smallest things all start to add up, and it takes time and patience and effort. And you have to just be in it for the long haul. So that slowly started my other passion now, which is trying to see those changes come across and go full circle for how we treat our environment and our animals and other human beings in general.
Absolutely. And it's the small changes.
Or just eliminating that one vice, change doesn't happen all at once. And it's funny, I just went through a mastermind group and we were talking about our Enneagram numbers, and it brought it all full circle for me because I'm an enthusiast, but I'm also a challenger. So I have these passions, I'm excitable and all of these things, but I'm also an action-oriented person. So once I learned more about these things about myself, I'm like, well, this is starting to make perfect sense.
You're becoming extremely aware of who you are and why you're passionate about certain things.
Exactly.
So maybe you can share what you've learned in terms of taking action and how those micro steps help the environment.
Right. I think people, as they do in the health and fitness industry, think there's a magic pill or a magic group. You don't have to be Leo DiCaprio to make things happen. So these smallest actions over time, and unfortunately for my friends and family, over a long period of time of me asking them, please don't do this, and please don't take that straw, and please bring your own shopping bags, and please, now after all this time, they do it it changes the habit, right? But none of us are habit changers. None of us are very good at it, myself included. There are so many things I still wish to change about my daily life, but if you let that overwhelm you, those tiny little baby steps are how you get to the next step, and so on and so forth. So I think people thinking that, oh, well, me not doing that isn't going to change anything is so not true. If one person did just one more thing every day, imagine how that would add up.
Those micro steps, and it goes back to similar to, like you were saying, having a fitness regimen, a routine. Like we have the recycle bin right behind the trash, and now my 8-year-old is like, I will lose it if the plastic goes there in the trash.
Yep. And I'm almost to the point now where I'm in the grocery store seeing people load up, or even at Costco, load up their, cases of bottled water and thinking you should just go stand there all day and say, is there nothing else you could use instead of these? I mean, imagine the plastic bottles we would save if we stop buying it, they stop making it, right? Supply and demand. So
yeah. Okay. So from my understanding, you live a very conscientious, eco-friendly lifestyle, like you were mentioning, with the straws and the other micro changes. Tell us overall how you've integrated mindfulness and sustainability into your daily life or routine.
I think what I've done for myself is social media is such a huge influence, whether we like it or not. I put people on my feed and keep the people that feed things I don't necessarily want to see because they're graphic or they're sad or any of those reasons that people go, I'm not following them anymore. I don't want to see that stuff. Well, seeing that stuff is what reminds you why you need to make different choices. I don't want to see a slaughterhouse, but I do want to see a slaughterhouse to remind me what my food choices, they come at a price. Whether you eat it or not, it doesn't matter, but they come at a price, right? And same thing with trash in third world countries or, the Faroe Islands, the mass killing of these dolphins. Like, you need to see that stuff because it's a daily reminder of you can't hide in your bubble and pretend none of this exists and that there's nothing you can do about it, because you can do something.
Well, absolutely. I love the idea that it's okay to have that in your feed, because at times I've noticed that we've become such a convenience culture. Like, that's inconvenient for me to see and I will be offended. But it is a reality. The time when I lived in India, it was everywhere.
Oh my
It
gosh,
doesn't matter
yeah.
if you're the richest person. You'll be exposed to the slum and trash and the
Yep.
ramifications.
Yeah. It's a big convenience is such a tricky word. I've used it once in a post and it wasn't pretty. I made the mistake of calling it lazy, which people don't like that word. They don't like to be affiliated with that word. But it was my way of implying these are convenience items. We do them because we either don't have the time or don't want to take the time to do it another way. So I've learned language is very important. You have to lead by example, and people follow you if it's a positive environment for them. And you can teach them what not to do without being accusatory or angry or blaming. So there's better ways of doing it.
Absolutely. Starting with the language is really an insightful way of bringing that up. Because I was reading somewhere, and it's a quote that I just love. It says, words can be a window or a wall.
Yeah.
And so we need to start integrating language that'll feel positive.
Right. That makes them feel empowered instead of like we're accusing them of being the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what insight do you share on what people can do on a more local level?
You know, it's funny. I have a friend who lost her job during COVID and is passionate about the planet. She started cleaning up the beaches every morning because she had nowhere to go, nowhere to be, was getting her unemployment in the meantime. And she has, I think she's up to day 500 something of daily going down and cleaning up the beaches. And there are days she picks up 10, 15 pounds of trash herself. So when people always tell me, well, I don't know this and I don't know what I can do. And it doesn't have to be a huge group. It doesn't have to be where I live locally, a surf rider or some group like that organizes for you. It helps you because those people can motivate you to get out there and do things you might not do on your own. But I can't tell you, I could walk down my own street and probably pick up cigarette butts, plastic water bottles, masks, especially now. And all those things end up in our environment and in our oceans. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take a lot. And I think teaching our kids to be aware of this stuff is another huge focus.
That is wonderful. Well, if there's anything else, any insights you'd like to share with people, maybe in other parts of the United States, maybe not the ocean, but which is huge for us out here.
Yes. Well, and I think one thing there's so many things everybody can do, but two things that I always tell my close friends and even not so close friends that look at me like I'm crazy. You don't need the straw. So many people are catering to that now, but I always give my family a hard time because they'll sit down at breakfast and they'll drink coffee out of a coffee cup at a restaurant and not think twice about it. But when you give them a glass of water, all of a sudden it's, ew, no, I need a straw. I don't want to put it in my mouth. I'm like, that one I just don't understand, period. Right.
Yeah.
And when single-use plastics, just shopping bags are, COVID put us in, I think it took us backwards quite a bit because everything was to go. So you had to go containers, you had straws for drinks, which understandably you can't drink those things out of that hole in the middle of the cup, right? Plastic bags. So I think we're going to have to go back and make up for some lost time in this process. But those are things that are so easy to change on a daily basis.
Like the whole bag thing was like mind-boggling. I essentially had these recyclable bags that I'd saved up and collected, and suddenly I couldn't bag my own things. But about the straws, like I've even taught my son like metal straws, glass straws, and
so many options. And I know it's hard. The paper straws, are they the best? No. But if you're going to use them for one drink and then you'll never see it again, so worth it.
yes. And there are more like eco-friendly things that are being like biodegradable.
Yes. And I have this conversation with my mom a lot about the cost of us caring And I get it.
Mhm.
It costs money, right? Buying that non-packaged or buying that reusable container that you can take back and use again. There's cost involved in all of that. But in my opinion, the cost of where we're going is much greater if we don't do something about it now. And I don't even have kids, and I'm more worried about them than I am anyone else.
Well, absolutely. And the cost is far greater. It's on the surface, it feels like right now it's monetary, but it'll be monetary and then some in the very near future.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, and they're finding plastic in fish.
And the places they're finding microplastics now is crazy. And I think when you're saying just what are the easiest things for people to do, 10 years ago, I came up with my own license plate, and it just hit me one day, and it was called Make an Impact. And I spelled it with MKN, put it on my license plate, started slowly letting it evolve. And it's part of all of my social media hashtags and things that I post now. And it's funny, I'll get pictures of people fishing in the ocean, friends of mine on the East Coast, whatever, and they're picking up balloons, and they'll send me a picture. It says, make an impact. Yeah. And then, just random things that I know it's sinking in, but they're not things that you see every day. So you start to lose steam. Is anyone paying attention? And these random things show up. You're like, they're paying attention. They're paying attention.
The younger generation. But other cultures, they have it down. So it's not like as a society, we're just incapable. I believe, because I have a friend from South Africa, and she thinks it's really bizarre that so many things go to waste. So many things are required when you go to the store, when you arrive over the week, so much trash.
Yeah. I think as a society, we're wasteful. Americans are not the best at that. There are countries, even in Paris, you can walk around town and fill your water bottle out of spouts that the city supplies, this drinking water, right? In Bali, you can walk into any restaurant and they have a refill station for water in an effort to get people to stop using single-use plastic, because they don't have the infrastructure to dispose of these things. That's why they're all over the beach, right?
Yes.
But I'm thinking to myself, if Bali can come up with this, how on earth can the United States not have something? Because it's a monetary driven business, right?
It's a culture mindset from the industrial age. Hopefully we can make a shift.
Right? Yes, I hope so.
And also when you mentioned things that are inconvenient, and that shows up in your feed, I believe that both of us kind of feels the same way about even our plant-based food approach.
Yep.
So, yes.
And I think I never criticize people. Your food choices are your own. But I do, coming from a fitness and different movement modalities and yoga, as you are familiar with, and the transfer of energy, I feel like what happens to those animals before you eat them really matters. Even if you choose to have a steak, okay, but how it got to that plate,
mm-hmm.
that energy went somewhere, and guess what? Now you're eating it.
And the last vibration it probably felt was a very dark place.
Exactly.
Of sadness or whatever emotions you want to attribute.
Yep.
That energy is transferred. Absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's a whole nother podcast probably. But yeah.
But I'm going to say that if there is an upcoming, like World Plant Day or World Day, I'll have you back.
Okay.
And by then I'm going to make it a mission to have your hashtag become something popular. Well, it's already popular, but something.
No, I appreciate it. I just finally got a logo and branded it. And now I kind of I've been letting it take its course, kind of grassroots. But I think my mission is to help people understand the most simple things they can do. Because if you make it complicated, most people aren't going to be able to do it. Right. Yep. I know.
So give us your hashtag again one more time, and I'll put it in the description.
Okay. It's MKNMPCT, Make an Impact.
Okay. Yep. It will be part of your bio. It'll be in the description.
Thanks.
Hashtag. I will include it on all of my podcasts now on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here today. And I'm going to hopefully invite you in the near future on a relevant topic again.
Happy to help. Thank you so much for the invitation. I love it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye, hon.
Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description And please subscribe, follow, and share. And continue to be omnipresent.